Oof, Marjorie Taylor Greene just put the dagger in Donald Trump. She is speaking out about how MAGA Republicans mock and make fun of Donald Trump behind his back. Marjorie Taylor Greene talks about how the death threats that she's receiving now are directly traceable to Donald Trump's behavior. She said that when she reached out to Donald Trump to say, when you call me Marjorie Taylor Greene, you are activating your MAGA cells to threaten the life of my child and myself. Can you stop? And she said that Donald Trump excoriated her, and she said she wouldn't repeat specifically what he said, but she said what he said was very unkind. And she said that she was just shocked that Donald Trump was willing to protect and be part of this PPP, this pedo protection program. She goes, all I did was speak out against a pedo sex trafficking ring led by Epstein, and that's what made Donald Trump turn against me. And she also said that Donald Trump told her that if you get these files out there, you are going to be hurting a lot of people. A lot of powerful men are going to become victims if you get these files out there. Yes, Trump was saying that the powerful men who were involved in this child sex trafficking ring, that they're the victims. And Marjorie Taylor Greene said that she was completely disgusted. Marjorie Taylor Greene then goes on to talk about how Donald Trump meeting with MBS, Donald Trump helping the crypto industry, Donald Trump's entire agenda is a betrayal of America first. She said he can go and call himself MAGA or whatever, but he ain't America first. Let's go through what went down. I want to ask you, though, a real important favor. Please hit subscribe on our YouTube channel. We're on our way to 6 million subscribers. And as you know, we're also under attack from the Trump regime, but for very different reasons. We've been calling Donald Trump and MAGA out on the right side, unlike Marjorie Taylor Greene, for a very long time. And Trump and Fox and these MAGA goons have been attacking us, putting death threats our way as well. So please make sure you hit subscribe right now. Help us get to 6 million. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, she went on 60 Minutes with Leslie Stahl. Remember Leslie Stahl's interview with Donald Trump back in 2020 when Donald Trump said he had the healthcare plan during his first administration, and then he brought out a binder filled with 600 pages that were all blank, and Leslie Stahl said, you know, this is all blank, and Donald Trump's like, I'm leaving, and he stormed out. That was Donald Trump's hatred of 60 Minutes and his hatred of CBS, which then basically led to regime change over at CBS as the old company was sold away to the new ownership that's very pro-Trump. So Marjorie Taylor Greene appears on 60 Minutes with Leslie Stahl on Sunday, and she goes, watch my full interview on 60 Minutes. I'm America first, America only, and no one can get in the way of that. So then she goes on to talk about how she got all of these death threats. She says these death threats are all fueled directly by Donald Trump. And then she goes on to talk about how she brought these death threats to the attention of J.D. Vance. And J.D. Vance was like, yeah, maybe we'll look into them. And then she never heard from him again. Then she said she brought it to the attention of Kash Patel, and he ignored her. Then she said, I showed Donald Trump, and she said, I'm going to keep it private, what he said to me, but it wasn't nice. Leslie Stahl goes, can you give us a hint about what Donald Trump said? She said it was extremely unkind. Marjorie Taylor Greene then goes on to tell Leslie Stahl, quote, I stood for women who were raped when they were 14 years old. And the president that I fought for 5 years called me a traitor for that. And so that changed the landscape of things, she said. And that's why she said that she had to resign. She couldn't be aiding and abetting Donald Trump's cover-up of a child sex trafficking ring. She said, I couldn't be a part of it. She also said that a lot of these MAGA Republicans, they mock Donald Trump behind his back. Then they put on the MAGA hat when it's convenient for them, she said. Yeah, they'll put on the MAGA hat for the first time, but she said they mock the way that Donald Trump speaks. They mock Donald Trump's deteriorating health. They mock Donald Trump's appearance. Donald Trump is actually one big joke to the Republican Party. They think he's disgusting and grotesque, but they go along with this because they think that this is how they keep their power and that's how they enable it. Next, Marjorie Taylor Greene is asked, so are you saying that Donald Trump now sides with the establishment over the MAGA movement? And she goes, look, he passed a crypto bill that helped out the crypto donors. Those are the areas that are still getting everything they want, the billionaires. While the people, we're still out here saying we need to see action in areas for the American people like healthcare, not for Trump's big donors. Those are the people getting all of the help from Donald Trump. She goes on to say that Donald Trump said that releasing the Epstein files would hurt people. It would hurt the powerful people that he knows. And he said, Marjorie, you can't be asking for it. You're going to start hurting people. Thomas Massie, who was one of the people who led the discharge petition that now has created the law to release the Epstein files, which we know Trump's going to cover up, even though the release date's coming up in just a few days at this point. Thomas Massie goes, thank you, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Nancy Mace and Congresswoman Boebert for having the guts to sign the discharge petition to force a vote on the Epstein Files Transparency Act. How do we know it was the right thing? It passed 427-1 in the House, 100-0 in the Senate, and Trump was forced to sign it. Marjorie Taylor Greene says, you know, the word MAGA, that's Trump's phrase. That's his political policies, but that's not America first. I call myself America first. And she said, look, you want to talk about more areas of Trump's betrayal of MAGA or America first? She goes, Trump brought in the Crown Prince, MBS, who murdered an American journalist. She then says, then he brings in Zoran Mamdani after telling the MAGA Republicans that this guy is the worst thing imaginable, and they say Mamdani's the worst this, the worst that. Then he brings Mamdani in and acts like Mamdani's his best friend, and then Trump takes photos with Mamdani in front of a portrait of FDR. She's like, what's going on? She goes, what's going on with this guy? By the way, then she says that Senator Ted Cruz is a Zionist Texas senator who has lost his mind over Tucker Carlson. You would think a United States senator would be gravely concerned about affordability for Americans, the looming healthcare crisis, and actually passing appropriations with another government funding deadline coming at the end of January. But instead, he's going mad that Tucker Carlson is living rent-free in his head.
This episode of MeidasTouch is brought to you by Wild Grain. Wild Grain is the first bake from frozen subscription box for artisanal breads, seasonal pastries, and fresh pastas. Plus, all items conveniently bake in 25 minutes or less. Unlike many store-bought options, Wild Grain uses simple ingredients you can pronounce and a slow fermentation process that can be easier on your belly and richer in nutrients and antioxidants. Wild Grain's boxes are fully customizable, and they're constantly adding seasonal and limited time products for you to enjoy. In addition to their classic box, they now feature a gluten-free box and a plant-based box. Now, I am truly obsessed with Wild Grain, and especially their tear and share cranberry pecan rolls, their Parmesan herb biscuits, and apple pie bites. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. Wild Grain is great for hosting. They're here to make you look like a baking expert without the stress. You can even buy some of their items in bulk. Whether giving a box or sending an e-gift card to their inbox, Wild Grain makes for the perfect gift for your loved ones or to bring as a host gift. Now, for a limited time, Wild Grain is offering our listeners $30 off your first box plus free croissants in every box when you go to wildgrain.com/Meidas to start your subscription. You heard me, free croissants in every box and $30 off your first box when you go to wildgrain.com/Meidas. That's wildgrain.com/Meidas, or you can use promo code Meidas at checkout.
Marjorie Taylor Greene then uplifts another MAGA account, Santiago, who says, my health insurance in the U.S. for a family of four, $15,000 deductible, $20,000 out of pocket. This is a catastrophe. We're the dumbest country in the world. Marjorie Taylor Greene says, again, fix health insurance. She said, no one is walking around blaming Venezuela for their problems. Why are we provoking a war with Venezuela when we need to fix the healthcare crisis? She then goes and says, While originally she said she got death threats from the left, she goes, once I stood with the Epstein survivors, the women who were raped as teenagers, abused and trafficked by rich, powerful men, that's when Trump turned on me and called me a traitor, and then new death threats and harassment came from the right or somewhere. We received pizza doxing deliveries, pipe bomb threats at my home and construction company office, and assassination threats directly to my son, Derek. The police and local FBI promptly responded. I sent these assassination threats on my son to Trump, in which he responded with harsh accusatory replies with zero sympathy. I also sent these threats to Chief of Staff Susie Wiles and Deputy Chief James Blair and received no response. Nothing. It was shocking to me to be treated this way by the top Republican leaders, considering everything I did to help elect their boss, and the fact that I have paid all of my dues to the NRCC, every single Congress, including this one, and had a 98% voting record with Trump. I also sent these threats to Kash Patel, and he responded on it. And I sent threats to J.D. Vance, who responded promptly with kindness and sympathy, but nothing else. And Republicans need to take a hard look in the mirror and ask themselves, are you still a mindless pawn taking orders, or are you elected representatives serving your district and their views and needs? A congressional Republican majority who takes orders from the White House and relinquishes all control to the executive branch is not serving the will of their voters. And an administration that only provides results through executive orders only provides temporary policies to the American people. And the American people who voted for you know it. You can't keep fooling them. They can't be fooled any longer. Then she goes and says that this political violence is out of control. The political industrial complex will only further divide the sides. And it's important to point out, though, Marjorie Taylor Greene was a major part of this. She fueled this political violence. She got into Congress and made a career out of doing this and dividing people. But now that Trump turned on her, this is the type of things we're hearing her say. And she goes as well to Cernovich, you need to serve out your full term. He's a right-wing MAGA Trumper. Oh, I haven't suffered enough for you while you post behind your screen all day. Do I have to stay until I'm assassinated like Charlie Kirk? Will that be good enough for you? Shit posting on the internet all day isn't fighting. Get off your ass and run for Congress. I fought harder than anyone in the real arena, not social media. Put down your little pebbles and put your money where your mouth is. Now, Alex Jones, one of Trump's biggest supporters like Marjorie Taylor Greene, he just said this recently. Play this clip.
I am seriously inches away from not supporting Trump anymore. Because I am not going to watch him commit political suicide.
And Kevin McCarthy, the former speaker, said, Marjorie Taylor Greene, a canary in the coal mine. We're going to see a lot of resignations. Here's what McCarthy said.
Okay. What happened, by the way, with MTG? She's leaving Congress?
She's leaving Congress, but I don't think that's the end that you'll see about her. And I think, look, I've always believed that anytime you have an elected official that's known by three initials, they're effective on what they do. And I found Marjorie to be very effective, but she's almost like a canary in a coal mine. And this is something inside Congress they better wake up, because they're going to get a lot of people retiring and they got to focus. I think keeping members out of Congress, you only get 2 years to be in the majority. And if the Democrats get you not to work every day for 2 months, that's losing 2 months of the majority.
And here's what Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries told me. Play this clip right here.
Donald Trump and Republicans are completely falling apart. They've been a total failure from the beginning of the year, broken their core promise, which was to drive down the high cost of living. Costs are going up, housing costs out of control, childcare costs out of control, grocery costs out of control, electricity bills through the roof, and now they continue to refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, meaning they're going to make healthcare unaffordable for tens of millions of folks. At the same time, they're unleashing this incredible extremism on the American people. Donald Trump is deeply unpopular. They got wiped out in elections all across the country, up and down the ballot, from New Jersey to New York to Virginia to Pennsylvania to Georgia to Mississippi to California, and at all points in between. And now you've got Republicans who are ready to get out of town before sundown. And I think these reports that Republicans are going to follow Marjorie Taylor Greene to the exit, these are all consistent with some of the things that we're hearing in the United States House of Representatives when we're on the floor.
Now, Puck, I'm going to do a whole other video on this as well, but Puck News reports that as many as 20 House Republicans are preparing to announce their retirement in the coming weeks, and Trump and MAGA Mike are expecting to lose their House majority before the midterms. Others are going to be following what Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing. Now, here is a MAGA Republican Congress member Grothman right here. Here's what he says about the Affordable Care Act subsidy extension. He goes, if this came to the floor, it would pass, he said. But MAGA Mike probably too cowardly to bring it up. Here, play this clip.
And if a vote on subsidies does come to the House before the end of the year, does it pass the House?
I hate to guess. My guess is there are enough people there who will vote yes on anything that if it is the Democrat plan, I think it'll pass the House. I shouldn't say that, but you only need to add 3 or 4 Republicans to all the Democrats and it'll pass.
And while all of this is taking place, MAGA Mike just continues to gaslight everybody. And MAGA Mike says this has been the most productive Congress in history. Play this clip.
If we stay unified, there is absolutely nothing that we can't achieve. And we've already demonstrated that this Congress. We've had one of the most productive Congresses in the history of the institution.
Do you need the president to get on the phone to some reluctant GOP members in the House and say, come on, come on?
He's been very helpful at a couple of junctures along the way where we've had big legislation, the one big beautiful bill, the Working Families Tax Cut, other things where you had 2 or 3 or 4 holdouts, which I can't afford. Now, remember, in previous years, speakers had 25, 30, 40-seat majorities. I have a razor-thin majority. I have to get every single Republican on most days, and so it takes a lot of work, but we're going to get there.
But MAGA Mike, when the government shutdown took place, didn't you say you were going to have a healthcare plan out immediately? Didn't you say as soon as the government shutdown was over, you would roll out a plan? Or, isn't this what Trump just said during his first regime, during the first administration? 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. You never do it. You psychologically torture the people. That's what MAGA's all about. People aren't standing for this much longer, MAGA Mike. We can't stand for this. Play this clip of MAGA Mike.
Is if the government reopened tonight, would Republicans have a plan to address the Obamacare subsidies?
Yes.
You would have a plan
we
tonight.
have proposals to, we could have that ready immediately. Yes.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Again, hit subscribe. Help us get to 6 million subscribers. Thank you so much for watching and have a good one.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the MeidasTouch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for new updates every single day.